Thank you, Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. While the federal Liberal government is dreaming up new ways to tax the people of Ontario, our government for the people is working hard to create jobs and bring new investment to our province. Last week, we introduced the Making Ontario Open for Business Act, which we have received an outpouring of support from people across this province. Our government continues to stand up for workers and job creators, and I'm happy to see our government working with other governments who have the same goals in mind. Just yesterday, the Minister and Premier Ford met with the Premier of Saskatchewan. And unlike our opposition members over here, we recognize the importance of Saskatchewan as part of Canada to the agricultural community and to stand up to the federal government, which I'd like to see this party do more. Could the Minister please inform the House of what our government is doing to strengthen the economy?
Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade.
Honourable colleague for the question. Yesterday, the Premier and I did welcome Premier Scott Moe to our province to discuss how our governments can best serve our people and fight the federal government's carbon tax. The Premiers went so far, and I agree, to call this new federal tax a scam. And Canadians agree that it's a scam, Mr. Speaker. The federal government is trying to bribe Canadians with their own money, but the people aren't falling for it. Under the federal Liberals' carbon tax, we would all be paying higher gas prices, higher home heating costs, and thousands of people would lose their jobs. The good news is, Speaker, that Canadians from coast to coast to coast are fighting back, and that fight started under the leadership of Premier Scott Moe and former Premier Brad Wall. Killing the federal carbon tax is the right thing to do for families, for workers, for businesses, for jobs, and I'm glad to have sat in on that meeting and watched this wonderful Premier fight for the workers and families of Ontario, along with Premier Scott Moe.
Stop the clock. Start the clock. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you for the Minister for your response. I'm glad to hear that our government is joined by others in our fight against the federal Liberal government's carbon tax. And I'm also glad to hear that interprovincial trade was discussed. Reducing interprovincial trade barriers will provide real benefits for the people of Ontario. While the federal government is creating new tax grabs, our government is taking action to put more money in the pockets of hardworking people of Ontario. Through you, Speaker, could the Minister please outline how the Memorandum of Understanding will create opportunities for Ontario families in our province? Thank you.
Minister.
Speaker, thank you to the honourable member again for the question. Yesterday, Premier Ford, on behalf of the Government of Ontario, was pleased to sign a Memorandum of Understanding with Premier Scott Moe, Premier of Saskatchewan. The MOU is a sign of our shared commitment to reducing interprovincial trade barriers, which continue to impede job creation and investment throughout Canada. We've heard from Ontario's job creators that this is one of the primary obstacles to attracting new investment and jobs to Canada. It's very important that we act now. And Mr. Speaker, I was proud to sit in on that meeting. I've been around here for 28 years, and I can't name you 5 interprovincial trade barriers we've ever brought down in that time. We've built up more and more and more, and it's a shame that the NDP don't respect the $11 to $13 billion worth of two-way trade we do with Saskatchewan. If we bring down trade barriers with Saskatchewan, we'll do more trade, we'll do more exports outside of Canada, and the rest of the provinces will follow. Finally, we have a couple of quick Premier Ford and Premier Moe who want to get the ball rolling.